Today I'm making biscotti. It's my mother's recipe, and this is the way I make them all the time. They're just plain biscotti. I don't put chocolate or nuts in them. It's just plain biscotti that you could dunk in your coffee or just have one as a snack. So here I have either you could use Crisco or you can use butter. I prefer the butter, and I'm going to mix together the butter and 1.5 cups of sugar. I'm going to use 8 eggs, or you could use 6 eggs. You can, change the recipe to whatever you like. So I will do 8. So I have 8 spoonfuls of butter. And I have, if you use Crisco, use the same amount as eggs, 8 tablespoons of Crisco or 6 tablespoons of Crisco, whatever. So here we go. It's sugar and butter combined. As you see, I'm mixing the butter with the sugar, and now it says to put in some dry ingredients like a pinch of salt. This is a pinch of salt. And then I'm going to use the same amount as eggs. You put in baking powder. It's like if it has 6 eggs or 8 eggs, you put in 6 or 8 teaspoons of baking powder. Now we'll start adding the wet ingredients, which is a little bit of milk, and I usually put in a tablespoon of lemon juice. You could use fresh. You could use, like I'm using, the real lemon. So now I will be breaking the eggs. I like to break them in a cup, make sure I don't have any shells in them. So you have to save egg whites. So I put it in a separate bowl to brush over the top of the biscotti. So I'm saving one. Then I'll maybe put another half of it. I want a little bit more for the top, and the rest goes in there. I will continue to break all the eggs. So as you can see now, I have the combination of the lemon juice, the sugar, the baking powder, the salt, and I'm going to add the eggs, which I've already separated. The ones that I separated, the egg white, I'll put it aside for later when I need it to brush the top of the dough before I cook them. So we just add them in a little at a time, 2, 3 at a time. That's 8 eggs, and then try to combine it with the dough. If you want to use an electric mixer on low, we could do that too. We could try it. Let's see what happens. We'll just keep adding the eggs now. Now we're going to add at least 5 cups of flour. And you could again do it manually or with the mixer. So I've already added 1 cup in, and I have another cup ready to go. There's no rush in doing this, of course, so you can take your time and do it either way. Okay, now I'm adding the 2nd cup. You can see I'm not sifting it. I'm just adding it right from the bag of flour. Get another. And here's the third cup. I'll use the mixer for as long as I can. It will get harder to do it with the mixer. You'll need to use your hands, mix it yourself after a while. Just added my 5th cup of flour, and it is a little difficult to mix right now. So I'm just going to keep mixing it till it all blends together. So once the dough is kind of sticking together, it will be very sticky. You roll it out onto a floured surface and you kind of work with it and put in some more flour. If it's too soft, you play with it and put in more flour as you need it, just plenty of it because it will stick. And then you just kind of let it all absorb what it can, and then we're ready to start baking it. And I'll show you how to form it so it becomes biscotti. I'm going to use the silpat on my pan, but if you don't, you have to grease it and flour it to put the loaves on there, which is what you do is you take a piece of the dough and you roll it into like a loaf. And you put it on the pan, and then you just press it down. It will grow a little in the oven, and you just press it down a bit and form it nicely, evenly, and I will do the rest. As you can see, I rolled them out and I placed them in the pan. So now I'm just going to press them down into, like I told you before, you just press them into shape. And as thick as you want, because they will get thicker in the oven. You press them down as nicely as you can and form them into a nice long shape. And at that point, after I do all this, put some flour on my fingers so it doesn't stick. Then you use your egg white, which I just mixed with a tiny bit of water, and then you coat the tops just like that so they come out shiny. You know, they don't have to be perfect, because then once they're cooked, then you slice them into biscotti. That's where it's nice and the top is nice and glazed. And that's what I'll be doing. I'll turn the oven on to 475. Yeah, 475. Sorry, I didn't mean 475. That's way too high. I meant 375. So we all make mistakes. I just made one too. So I'll just keep doing this. I'll show you before I put them in the oven, which is warming up, 375. So here they are. I have 4 wedges on each pan. So that's going to be a lot of cookies once they're sliced. And they're all glazed with the egg whites. You see there's plenty left over. I've got plenty, but I made sure I covered the sides, the top, and I'm going to bake them in the 375-degree oven. I'll check them in a half hour and see if they're nice and brown and toasted on top. And I'll show you that when we get to it. While they're in the oven cooking, I have time to clean up my kitchen so that I could put out the cutting board and knife and get ready to slice them. Well, it looks like they're almost done. As you can see, the color, it's nice and brown. It still has about 3 minutes to go, but I'm going to take them out. So this is the color you want them to be, nicely browned. And now you let them cool off for a few minutes. It was less than 30 minutes in the oven. I left the oven on because they will have to get rebaked once they're sliced. And I'll show you how to slice them. So you pick the position that you like and you start slicing them. You cut the ends off and you cut them as thick as you like, 1/2 inch, 1/4 inch, as thick as you like. You see, it's not that difficult. They're a little hot. These will get lined back into the pan and rebaked till they're a little brown on each side. So now I'll just go on slicing, making the biscotti. The ends I keep for myself. I'll make a nice cup of coffee in a little while, and I'll have some of the ends. So I'm almost done with the first pan. So you see, you can make them as long as you want just by slanting the knife a little more. You can make them a lot bigger, or you can make them, sliced, regular slice. And then I will continue to slice. And I collect the ends for me. So this pan is full again and ready to be twice baked, as I said. So the oven is still on hot, 375. They'll go back until the tops are like lightly browned. This is the second pan, all sliced and placed on the pan and ready to go into the oven. The other one's been there 5 minutes. I'll check on that. So here's the finished biscotti. As you could see, I have all different sizes. Some are smaller, some are larger, but they're nicely browned. You could, at this point, you can brown them a little more if you want. And here are all the end pieces that I can eat right now. I'll put the rest away. I save them for gifts, for anyone who comes for coffee. I'm always ready. I like them plain like this, but you can always change it around and make it vanilla flavor, lemon flavor. You can roll it out and make cookies out of it. But this is my favorite. You could always add chocolate. You could always add nuts. But this is the original. Okay, that's it. One more tip about biscotti. You don't put them in plastic containers or saran wrap or plastic bags. They have to be stored in either foil or a tin box that I always have. I keep just for the biscotti. They will get soft. I like them crunchy and like a cracker. They really hold up very well. Let them cool down before you store them anywhere. And they will last for months and months if you keep them in the tin box or foil. Or you could freeze them, you could put them in the fridge, but they last forever if you have any left.